Welcome to the Sci-Fi Express Lane. Jeff Carroll here. Following up conversations from last week online, I posted a picture of Wakanda comic book cover with Neymar on it, and it said, I'm gonna paraphrase, something simple like the new ruler of Wakanda. And people went crazy, both sides. You ain't read the comic, that's crazy, that's why we have black creators. Another person said, why do y'all worry about, the mainstream? You should support black creators, and, it doesn't happen in my stories and stuff like that. So again, this is Jeff Carroll, Sci-Fi Express Lane, and I'm gonna get into it. So like, share, subscribe, and at the end, make a comment. I do this to engage, to provoke, so and also to vent. So it is what it is. But I was one of those people that had always been mindful of what the mainstream does. One, I'm a comic book lover, and I like, I guess, the mainstream as much as I like independence. They both are problematic, mainstream, sometimes cats run out of money. I mean, not mainstream, independent. Sometimes cats run out of money and don't finish their series. And that's going to be my topic of the next one. Sometimes you can't even get indie comics. Comic book shops or just don't carry them. And if they do, they only carry like the regional ones. Like me, I try to get my catalog out to all the comic stores, but they don't always buy them, and then you have to do consignment. So that's sometimes not cost effective, especially when it comes to like shipping. And unless you're in with a distributor, you got to pay to mail, and shipping 100 comics or 200, 300 comics to a distributor, 1,000 comics is cheaper than sending 10 comics to a comic book store. Sometimes the comic book stores work with you and they cover the shipping costs, but it still cuts down on everybody's profit. That's why people go to distributors. So when it comes to indie comics, they're just very difficult. And then, there's the freedom of indie. It's not always a mainstream box. It's outside of the box. Sometimes there's no box. You don't know what stories you're getting, and that's entertaining, no doubt. But you want to have a variety of it. That mainstream is like the control group. Now, why do we worry about the mainstream? Are you kidding me? People love to say that comment. Why do you worry about what the mainstream does? Well, the mainstream is the success story. Whether you are independent comic or illustrator or writer, making it into the mainstream, whether it is your comic book or you become a writer in a bigger sandbox. Mainstream is where we get it. That's where everybody's successful. Indie is beautiful, but if it's only indie small level, then it's nothing. You understand? It's nothing. You get some individual things, but it doesn't entertain everybody, because many times everybody doesn't hear about it. We don't hear about things until the mainstream. Not saying publishers. Understand what I'm saying is mainstream. What I'm saying is mainstream is something that everybody is aware of and everybody can get. Now, major publishers, that's where they shoot. They play in that area. They rarely dabble in the indie world, the small run world. So that's the difference there. However, when it comes to big publishers and them dabbling in that area, that's when people say you're catering to the mainstream tropes. You are right. You're not writing for fun. You're writing for sales. So yeah, we get into the mainstream. So even as an indie publisher, you can write towards the trends that are out. You understand? As a writer, right? Not even comic books. I had a anthology call, and they gave you 2-day window. You know, they let you know what it was about, but they gave you a 2-day window on what you call it, submitting stories, and it was specific, very specific, what they wanted. Now, it was an indie-ish publication, but I gotta go to Barnes and Nobles and I gotta check some of their last anthologies, because they may be a small press mainstream company, and there's a lot of those. You know, they get their books out in the mainstream. They follow the tropes in the writing styles that are commercial, you know, and that's, you know, a lot of people say, oh, why are you writing commercial? You'll never expand on the existing genres if you just write what's out there. Now, there's ways to write zombies and still not be within what everybody thinks. So if you're writing a zombie story and you're black and brown, and you make your story black and brown, you're out of the tropes. If you're an indie writer and you put a black person, or if you're a black or brown person, you put a black or brown person on your cover, you're outside, because, you know, many of the mainstream publishing companies felt that, you know, only, you know, that black and brown covers would not sell. And the mainstream is changing, you know, just like the United States, the demographics of the mainstream, specifically science fiction readers, are changing. I remember when I first started going to urban book festivals, right? And they were like, yo, this guy's writing about vampires and werewolves and earthquakes and stuff like that. And we're writing, you know, she cheated on me, how he stayed married to her for so long, pimping in the pulpit type stories. And I'm writing, you know, Thug Angel. I got Welcome to Boss Lady's Planet. You know, of course, my first book, Gold Digger Killer, you know, but that's some extreme stuff too. And not every urban writer wrote a girl going around killing people. But now, when I go to probably even the same book fairs, I'm gonna wait till things kick up. But after Black Panther, things started changing. Shoot, before Black Panther, you barely got invited. Now, after Black Panther came out, the first one, I was getting, and other science fiction writers I saw were getting billed, top billing. You know, they want to know, who is this guy that's writing about this futuristic stuff? And now you see more urban writers doing stories that are not necessarily the regular fiction. They involve in vampires. They're setting it in the future. They got a time travel device. I seen some young lady had a post-apocalyptic story. You know, this was a little while ago. And they're getting there, but we're not fully there yet. But all of that is changed by the success of Black Panther. It's very hard to change the overall zeitgeist or the society as an independent. When something succeeds in the mainstream, it changes everything. You know, it changes like a mainstream show. Look at World War Z. Look at Dawn of the Dead. And I'm just talking zombies. You know what I'm saying? Those things changed the game. You know, we didn't have slow moving, you know, zombies after we had Walking Dead. Now we got running, jumping, flying down there zombies, you know. And then, you know, and of course we have Walking Dead, but Walking Dead had a mixture, had every zombie you could imagine. And now we got all of us, what is The Last of Us? And there we're back to, they don't even want to call this zombies, you know, the production, but everybody considers them zombies. And even if they're not zombies, they are impacting the zombie world. Sheesh. Let me slow down. I've been throwing 50 million ideas out, and it's not the way that I normally talk. So, what is going on? Did I eat coffee for breakfast? I think I'm a little late to work, so that's catching me out there. But back to the topic. You know, I'm a fan first. You know, I started enjoying the genres in science fiction before I started creating it. Even though I might have been writing my little stories and playing with my little action figures and creating stories, it wasn't commercial. I wasn't selling it. I wasn't producing product. There's nothing from me at 11 years old that you can buy. But I will say, I still read the mainstream stuff. I still read what's successful and what's out there. By and large, it's better, right? Because you have a whole team, you have more money into the product, and it just is what it is. I make independent film, and there's never a question with film, why do you worry about what's coming out in the theaters? Why don't you just watch independent film? Well, we already know the independent film ain't gonna have no daggone Avatar. They're not gonna have Thanos. There's not gonna be, King Kong versus Godzilla. Just because indie, the budget is limited. You know what I'm saying? And then good indie don't stay indie long. It's very hard for somebody to stay indie. Now, because of music success, you do have indie artists making it. You have some books that are indie, for all intents and purposes. Homegirl who does Harry Potter, she stayed indie. I doubt if her editors and publishers comment too much on her creations. She merely sells her stuff and loans her stuff out to the major publishing company, and it comes that way, but she creates practically independently, where some of the writers, they have to submit scripts, and the publisher will pick a cover for them, and they will offer other changes possibly to the story, but not homegirl, I forgot her name, who writes Harry Potter. She don't have that problem. I don't know if Justin Bieber actually signed to a record label. I know Chance the Rapper, does. But the problem you run into is that they may not want to keep their career going because money changes you. Now you get money. Now you can be an investor. Now you can, you don't have to do sometimes what your art demanded you. What economics demanded you to do. You did your art to get out of your situation. Now you're out of that situation. It's a different situation. You know what I'm saying? So indie artists, make money faster and thus probably by and large make less product. So as much as we like indie artists, sometimes the mainstream is the one that says, yo, you need another art, you need another hit. They're not what do you call it? They're not yes men around you. And sometimes it's an indie artist hiring people. All those people tell you what you want to hear. Whereas the record company may tell you what you don't want to hear. Might not even be right, but their goal is to get you to make more music. More product, produce more product. So they're going to tell you whatever they need to tell you to get you to want to make more product, because that's what their goal is. They don't get paid off your catalog. They get paid because they got to get you television appearances. They got to get you in film. You got to work. You know what I'm saying? And once people make money, they don't work as hard. And why would you? So that's that. And maybe writers are different, because writers just, they ain't traveling all over the world. They hitting it, but at the end of the day, they're not independent writers either. Most of the successful writers out here are with publishers and have agents, and they're fully absorbed in the commercial publishing system. So I don't know if I made a good argument as much as I explained the situation, but bottom line for me, I watch the mainstream. It drives culture, right? It is the best product that's out there. And when they do something like Wakanda that doesn't follow the film's narrative, it does affect overall brand. And if it's something that you enjoy, then hey, I like the movie Wakanda. I like World of Wakanda Forever. I like Black Panther. You understand? And it hurts me when I read a comic book and they are destroying it. Ta-Nehisi Coates, horrible. I don't care whether the politics needed to be said. I don't want to read the comic book for that type of negative politics. I want to be romanticized in my view of everything. I'm gonna do a story about, a blog about why I like happy endings. All right. So anyway, that's why I think people monitor what's going on in the mainstream. Why I think it's good that we monitor what's going on in the mainstream. What else? Oh, these guys got the gate locked? Are you kidding me? So yeah, that's why I think all of these things. All right, touch base with you later. Sci-Fi Express Lane is out. Jeff Carroll, like, share, subscribe, and now you make your comment. Deuces.